Hello, everyone. Welcome to the FAA podcast and happy Halloween. Hope everyone is getting their candies worth today. Uh, Great weekend of football in the books. NFL Week 8, college football Week 9. Turned out like I thought it would. A lot of upsets, especially in the 3:30 p.m. Eastern window. We'll talk about all of those matchups, as well as we had a massive trade today in the NFL trade deadline tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern. We will talk everything trade deadline and then get you prepped for the game tonight and the game on Thursday night. There's also some action this week. Yes, we have games tomorrow night and Wednesday night in the Mid-American Conference. So just to recap, on Friday, there were two games. We only covered one of them, though. ECU getting it done 27-24 in Provo, Utah, by the way. Holton Ahlers was pretty good, 68.2%, 15 of 22, 197, 5 carries, 18 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Jaron Hall was decent, not a lot of yards, however, 18 of 25, 72% completion, 144 yards. 2 touchdowns, 8 carries, 60 yards. But the running games were the difference for both sides. But Keaton Mitchell, especially for the Pirates, ECU running back had 21 carries, 176 yards, 1 touchdown, and a 8-yard reception as well. BYU had their own 100-yard ball carrier, Lopini Katoa, 20 carries, 116 yards, and a touchdown on the night. Leading receiver in the game, BYU wide receiver Puka Nacua, 7 receptions, 79 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 carries for 22 yards. And defensively, there wasn't much, so I think I'm going to go with the bottom guy there, ECU linebacker Jeremy Lewis, 3 tackles, 2 solos, and 2 QB hurries. ECU +3, under 64. Saturday. Yeah, I don't want to talk about this game. Number 2, Ohio State stays undefeated, 44-31 over number 13, Penn State. And look, Penn State had them. For 3 quarters, Penn State had exactly what they want. They were running the ball well on first down, getting stops on defense. Ohio State wasn't really able to run the ball at all through 3 quarters. And for some reason, it just stopped. The 4th quarter came. The Ohio State offense came to life. The running game of Travion Henderson, specifically, CJ Stroud hit a couple big passes in the 4th as well. The hurry-up offense, I think, really sparked them. And they got it done somehow. But Sean Clifford, not good. 32 of 47, 68.1%, 371 yards. That's great. 3 touchdowns, also great. But he threw 3 interceptions, including 1 each on the first 2 drives. He also fumbled the ball. So 4 turnovers. That's not how you beat a number 2 team. CJ Stroud, on the other hand, 26 of 33, 78.8% completion, 354 yards, 1 touchdown. Travion Henderson, your leading ball carrier in the game for Ohio State, 16 carries, 78 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 catch for -5 yards. 200-yard receivers in this game. Penn State, Marvin Harrison Jr. was unstoppable for Ohio State. He was literally the only receiver that CJ could really find on a consistent basis. 10 receptions, 185 yards for him. Parker Washington had a career day. Only the 2nd player in Penn State history to have multiple 100-yard performances against Ohio State, the other being Jahan Dotson, current Commanders wide receiver in the NFL. But Parker had 11 receptions, 179 yards, and a touchdown there. Defensively, it has to be Ohio State defensive end JT Tuimoloau. 6 tackles, 3 solos, 2 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, 1 pass deflection, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery, 2 picks, including 1 for a touchdown, 14 yards on that one. He was unblockable for Penn State. And just crushed a lot of drives for that Penn State offense. So Penn State did cover, though, plus 16 on over 60.5 easily. Number 7, TCU also remaining undefeated, 41-31 over West Virginia in Morgantown. Max Duggan, 16-28, 57.1%, 341 yards, 3 touchdowns and a pick. JT Daniels, 23 of 39, 59%, 275 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, and 1 fumble. 200-yard runners in this game. TCU running back Kendre Miller, 12 carries, 120 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 reception for -1 yard. I still don't know why they classify him as a tight end, but tight end CJ Donaldson, 19 carries, 104 yards, 2 touchdowns, also had 1 catch for 0 yards. Leading receiver in the game, 3 guys in the 90s, but the leading receiver in this one was TCU wide receiver Tay Barber, 4 receptions, 99 yards, and a touchdown. Quentin Johnston also scored another touchdown. He had 4 catches for 76 yards on the day with that score. Defensively, I'm going to go with the top guy, TCU linebacker Jamoy Hodge, 13 tackles, 9 solos, 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss, and a pass deflection. TCU covered -7 over 69.5. Told y'all the over was going to hit, and it did just by a little bit in this one. Notre Dame upsetting number 16 Syracuse 41-24 at the Dome too, which was crazy to see. Big reason for the upset, though, Garrett Schrader got injured in this game. Wasn't very good to start anyways. 5 of 14, 35.7% completion, 35 yards, 1 touchdown, and a pick. Carlos Del Rio Wilson comes in. He goes 11 of 22, 50%, 190 yards, 1 touchdown, and a pick. For Notre Dame, passing the ball, Drew Pine, 9 of 19, 47.4%, 116 yards, 1 touchdown, a pick. Also had 4 carries for 15 yards. But the biggest part of the game, aside from the Notre Dame defense, was Audric Estime. He ran over every orange defender he could find. 20 carries, 123 yards, 2 touchdowns on the day. A beast, to say the least, on Halloween. Receiving leader in this game, Syracuse wide receiver Arondé Gadsden, the second, 4 receptions, 78 yards, and a touchdown. Defensively, I'm going to go with 2 guys here. Notre Dame linebacker Jordan Botello, 2 tackles, both of them solos, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, and a QB hurry. And then Notre Dame safety Brandon Joseph, 2 tackles, 2 of them solos, and a 29-yard pick 6. Notre Dame covered -1 easily, and over 48 also relatively easily. Maction here on a Saturday. Toledo 27-24 over Eastern Michigan. Comeback game for the Rockets in this one. Tucker Gleason was good. 15-27, 55.6%, 238 yards, 2 touchdowns, 7 carries for 33 yards for the Rockets quarterback. For the Eagles, 2 quarterbacks played on the day. Taylor Powell, 9 of 17, 52.9%, 61 yards and a pick. And then Austin Smith, 3 of 6, 50%, 15 yards, 5 carries for 20 yards as well. Leading rusher on the day, Eastern Michigan running back Samson Evans, 24 carries, 88 yards, 3 touchdowns. So great day for him in terms of scoring, and 1 reception for 8 yards. Leading receiver, however, was Toledo wide receiver Devin Maddox, 3 catches for 80 yards. Defensively, got to go with the bottom guy there. Eastern Michigan defensive lineman Jose Ramirez, 9 tackles, 6 solos, 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss, 1 pass deflection, and 2 QB hurries. Eastern Michigan covered +4.5, under 55. World's largest outdoor cocktail party, number 1 Georgia staying undefeated, 42-20 over Florida in Jacksonville. Stetson Bennett was decent. Not a great completion, though. 19 of 38, 50%, 316 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, 3 turnovers for the Georgia offense on the day. Anthony Richardson for the Gators, 18 of 37. That's 48.6%. 271 yards, 1 touchdown, 11 carries for 19 yards. Dejon Edwards led to the game in rushing. The Dogs running back had 12 carries, 106 yards, and 2 touchdowns. UGA running back Kenny McIntosh also scored twice. He had 16 carries for 90 yards, 2 touchdowns, a fumble, and 1 reception for -5 yards. 200-yard receivers in this game. The monster Georgia tight end Brock Bowers, 5 receptions, 154 yards, and a touchdown. And then Florida wide receiver Xavier Henderson, 5 receptions, 110 yards, and a touchdown. Defensively, I want to go with Georgia, but I'm going to have a co-defensive player of the game here. Georgia linebacker Jamon Dumas-Johnson. He's been a great piece to their defense all year. 7 tackles, 6 solos, 1 tackle for loss, and 5 QB hurries on Richardson. But then Florida linebacker Amari Burney had a great day as well. 7 tackles, 4 solos, 1 tackle for loss, 1 pass deflection, 2 QB hurries, and a pick. Florida covered plus 23 by 1, and over 56.5 easily. Number 8, Oregon, 42-24 rout over Cal. Bo Nix was great, 27 of 35, 77.1%, 412 yards, 3 touchdowns. He did throw 2 interceptions, but it didn't matter. And then 12 carries, 59 yards, 3 touchdowns, so 6 total on the day for Bo. Cal played 2 quarterbacks. Quarterback Jack Plummer got injured, 20 of 33, 60.6%, 214 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. And then Kai Milner came in and played very well, 8 of 11, 72.7%, 114 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 carry for 13 yards. Leading ball carrier in the game, Oregon running back Noah Whittington, 10 carries, 66 yards, 5 catches for 67 yards, and a touchdown. Leading receiver in the game, Cal wide receiver Jeremiah Hunter, 5 receptions, 96 yards on the day. Defensively, got to go with Oregon linebacker DJ Johnson, 3 tackles, 2 solos, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, and a pass deflection. Oregon covered -17 and over 56.5. The -17 covered by 1 there for the Ducks. Big upset that I did not even see. This Logan couldn't have even seen this, even though he lone wolfed the Wildcats. I mean, this was just crazy. I did not watch it. I wasn't able to watch this game, but kept up with the score, and holy hell, I mean, number 22, Kansas State, 48-0 over number 9, Oklahoma State. Was at home for the Wildcats, but still, no one could have seen 48-0 coming. KSU quarterback Will Howard, 21 of 37, 56.8%, 296 yards, and 4 passing touchdowns. Spencer Sanders for the Cowboys, 13 of 26, 50%, 147 yards, and a pick. Oklahoma State eventually put quarterback Gunnar Gundy in, 2 of 7, 28.6%, 16 yards, a pick, 5 carries for 27 yards. Deuce Vaughn ran crazy for Kansas State, 22 carries, 158 yards, 1 touchdown, 4 receptions, 18 yards, and another score there. Leading receiver on the day, 100-yard guy here, Kansas State wide receiver Malik Knowles, 8 receptions, 113 yards. Also got to point out Kansas State wide receiver Cade Warner, 5 receptions, 97 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Defensively, I'm going to go with Kansas State linebacker Crew Jackson, 1 tackle. It was a solo, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss, and a pick. Kansas State covered -2 easily, and under 57.5 also easily. Louisville rolling over number 10 Wake Forest in Louisville, Kentucky, 48-21. This was absolutely crazy. It was a close game. Wake Forest had the lead 14-13 into the third quarter, and the third quarter was just a disaster. A nightmarish quarter for everyone involved on the Demon Deacons side. Sam Hartman had 6 total turnovers and 8 for the team in that quarter alone. Just ridiculous. But yeah, quarterback Sam Hartman for Wake, 20 of 35, 57.1%, 271 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 picks, 3 fumbles. His backup, Mitch Griffiths, came in 6 of 9, 66.7%, 39 yards, 1 touchdown. He also threw a pick and 5 carries for 13 yards. Louisville quarterback Malik Cunningham had a good day, 15 of 23, 65.2%, 164 yards, 9 carries for 38 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. Quarterback Brock Doman came in late for Louisville, 2 of 3, 66.7%, and 7 yards. 100-yard rusher on the day, Louisville running back Tyon Evans, 11 carries, 106 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 5-yard reception. Leading receiver on the day, Louisville wide receiver Tyler Hudson, 6 receptions, 77 yards. And defensively, 2 guys, really great games, both on the Louisville Cardinals. Defensive back Catrell Clark, 6 tackles, 5 solos, 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss, 1 pass deflection, and a 46-yard pick 6. And then Louisville corner Quincy Riley, 3 tackles, 2 solos, 2 picks, one of them being a 90-yard pick 6. So great day for the Cardinals defense there, getting to 5-3. Louisville +3 over 66. Number 17, Illinois, 7-1 Illini. Crazy season that they are having in Brett Bielema there in Champaign. 26 to 9. Gosh, I can't talk. 26-9 over Nebraska. Tommy DeVito was great. 20 of 22. That's 90.9% completion. 179 yards, 2 touchdowns, 6 carries for 37 yards. Nebraska played 2 quarterbacks. Casey Thompson, 7 of 15, 46.7%, 172 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks, 2 carries for 10 yards. He got injured. So then Chuba Purdy came in 3 of 8, 37.5%, 15 yards, and a pick. Of course, we mentioned it on Friday, but Chase Brown was the story of the game for Illinois. 32 carries, 149 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 receptions, 13 yards, and another touchdown there for Mr. Brown. Illinois wide receiver Isaiah Williams, the leading receiver in the game, 9 receptions, 93 yards, 1 touchdown, and a fumble. Defensively, got to go with Illinois defensive back Sidney Brown, 6 tackles, 4 solos, 1.5 tackles for loss, and 2 interceptions. Illinois covered -7.5 easily, and under 50.5 also easily. UCF upsets 25-21 over number 20 Cincinnati. This one was in Orlando, Florida. Ben Bryant for the Bearcats, 25 of 45, 55.6%, 298 yards, 1 touchdown. John Rice Plumlee got injured, but before he did, 7 of 11, passing 63.6%, 71 yards, and 7 carries for 26 yards. Mikey Keene came in for the Golden Knights and had a nice day, 15 of 21, 71.4%, 176 yards. Leading rusher in the game, UCF running back RJ Harvey, 18 carries, 84 yards, 2 touchdowns, a fumble, and 1 25-yard reception. 100-yard receiver in the game, Cincinnati wide receiver Trey Tucker, 10 receptions, 110 yards. Defensively, I'm going to go with UCF linebacker Jason Johnson, 7 tackles, 4 solos, a half a sack, 1.5 tackles for loss, and 1 QB hurry. UCF covered -1.5 and under 55.5. The Golden Knights coming back to win this game. Mizzou, another upset here, 23-10 at number 25 South Carolina. Brady Cook was pretty good for the Tigers, 17 and 26, 65.4%, 224 yards, 11 carries, 53 yards, and a touchdown. Spencer Rattler for the Gamecocks was decent, 20 of 30, 66.7%, 171 yards, but he turned it over twice. He had a pick, also had a fumble to go along with his rushing touchdown. Cody Schrader, leading ball carrier in the game. The Missouri running back had 22 carries, 81 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 receptions for 32 yards here. 100-yard receiver in the game, Missouri wide receiver Dominic Lovett, 10 receptions, 148 yards for him. And defensively, got to go with Missouri defensive lineman Isaiah McGuire, 5 tackles, 4 solos, 2 sacks, and 3 tackles for loss. Missouri plus 3.5, under 45 easily. South Alabama continues to roll through the Sun Belt, 31-3 over Arkansas State. Carter Bradley for the Jags, 17-24, 70.8%, 179 yards, 1 touchdown, 4 carries for 17 yards. Red Wolves quarterback James Blackman, 22 of 39, 56.4%, 177 yards. South Alabama running back LaDamian Webb was the story of the game. Really great game for him. 28 carries, 162 yards, and 3 scores. Also chipped on a 6-yard reception. Leading receiver in the game, Arkansas State wide receiver Jeff Foreman, 6 receptions, 98 yards for him. And defensively, I'm going to go with South Alabama defensive lineman Jamie Sheriff, 4 tackles, 2 solos, 1.5 sacks, 1.5 tackles for loss. South Alabama covered easily, -9, and under 52 also easily. Number 3, Tennessee routing number 19, Kentucky, 44-6 at Rocky Top. Hendon Hooker was amazing again, 19 of 25, 76%, 245 yards, 3 touchdowns, 10 carries for 23 yards, and another score there. Will Levis struggled mightily for the Wildcats, 16 of 27, 59.3%, 98 yards, and 3 picks. Horrible night for Levis. Jabari Small, your leading rusher in the game. The Volunteers running back had 21 carries, 78 yards, 2 receptions, 17 yards, and a touchdown. And of course, Jalen Hyatt had another great game. Tennessee wide receiver, 5 receptions, 138 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Defensively, I'm going to go with the guy on the bottom there, Tennessee defensive lineman Byron Young, 4 tackles, 1 solo, 1.5 sacks, 1.5 tackles for loss, and 1 QB hurry. Tennessee covered easily, -11.5, under 62.5. Sets up a college game day visit to Athens this coming weekend. Number 10, USC, 45-37, close one over Arizona. Interesting to see that game unfold there. Caleb Williams, 31 of 45, 68.9%, 411 yards, 5 touchdowns, 4 carries for 14 yards. So an outstanding game for Caleb Williams, despite no Jordan Addison in this one. Arizona quarterback Jaden DeLora pretty much matched him, 26 of 43, 60.5%, 380 yards, 3 touchdowns, a pick, 8 carries for 54 yards. I think the difference here, you look at the running game. USC running back Travis Dye led the way, 20 carries, 113 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 receptions for 19 yards there. 300-yard receivers in this one. Arizona wide receiver Dorian Singer, 7 receptions, 141 yards, 3 touchdowns for him. Crazy good night for the Wildcat there. Taj Washington for USC, 7 receptions, 118 yards, 2 scores. And then USC wide receiver Kyle Ford, 6 receptions, 114 yards, and a touchdown. Defensively, I'm going to go with USC defensive back Bryson Shaw, 7 tackles, 5 solos, 1 tackle for loss, 1 pass deflection, and a pick. Arizona easily covered plus 14, and the over 74 hit, which is just ridiculous. 82 points in that game. Boise State crushing Colorado State 49-10. Taylon Green, I mentioned his name on Friday, had a great game. 24 of 30, 80% completion, 305 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 carries, 13 yards, and another score. Clay Millen got injured for the Rams here, but 13 of 20, 65%, 161 yards, and a touchdown. Jackson Stratton struggled mightily in his time in the game. 1 of 6, 16.7%, 6 yards, and a pick. George Halani, the Broncos running back, a great night. 21 carries, 108 yards, 3 touchdowns, 4 receptions for 18 yards. Leading receiver in the game, Boise State wide receiver Stephen Cobbs, 4 receptions, 91 yards. And defensively, have to go with 2 guys. It's Colorado State defensive back Jack Howell, an amazing night. 17 tackles, 12 of them solos. That is a great night, no matter how you spin it. But Boise State defensive tackle Divine Obasher, just ridiculous. 7 tackles, 4 solos, 2 sacks, and 4.5 tackles for loss. Monster numbers for Obasher there. Boise State covered minus 25, over 42.5 hits. Coastal Carolina getting to 7-1, 24-13. The Chants getting it done on the road here. Cam Fancher for Marshall was pretty good. 19 of 36, 52.8%, 320 yards, but he did have a fumble on the day. And then Coastal quarterback Grayson McCall, 13 of 24, 54.2%, 121 yards, 1 touchdown, 11 carries for 12 yards, and another touchdown there. Leading rusher on the day, Marshall running back Kalen LeBourne, 16 carries, 59 yards, 1 touchdown, and a fumble. Also had 1 2-yard reception. Leading receiver in the game, Marshall wide receiver Corey Gamage went crazy, 8 receptions, 187 yards. But Coastal did get it done. And defensively, I think I'm going to go with another Marshall guy. However, Marshall defensive lineman Kobe Cumberlander, 5 tackles, 1 solo, 1.5 sacks, 2.5 tackles for loss. Coastal plus 2.5, under 54. Number 4, Michigan, 29-7 blowout over Michigan State. The battle for Paul Bunyan's axe here. Yeah, this was actually, I thought it was going to be closer at the end, but because it was 7-10 Michigan for quite a bit. But yeah, Peyton Thorne for the Spartans, 17 of 30, 56.7%, 215 yards, 1 touchdown, and a pick. JJ McCarthy for the Wolverines, 15 of 25, 60%, 167 yards, 1 touchdown, 7 carries for 50 yards. I'm loving my Blake Corum Heisman future bet. It's looking really great. He had 33 carries, 177 yards, and a touchdown. Also caught a 2-yard touchdown as well. Leading receiver in the game, Michigan State wide receiver Keon Coleman. Crazy good game for him. 5 receptions, 155 yards, and a touchdown. And defensively, I'm going to go with Michigan State corner Kendall Brooks. 11 tackles, 8 of them solos, and 3 tackles for loss. We'll talk about the altercation that went down at the end of this game in just a bit. Michigan State covered, though, plus 23 by 1. I know to the despise of my friend Zach, he had Michigan minus 23, and the under 55 hit easily. Number 15, Ole Miss eking one out over Texas A&M, 38-28 in College Station. Connor Wegman really lit up the Texas A&M offense, 28 of 44, 63.6%, 338 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Really just a great night in his first start. Jackson Dart for the Rebels, 13 of 20, 65%, 140 yards, 3 touchdowns, 17 carries for 95 yards. And the running backs all went crazy here. Quinshon Judkins for Ole Miss, just crazy. 13 of 34 carries, 205 yards and 1 touchdown there. Devin Achane for A&M had a great game in his own right. 25 carries for him, 138 yards, 7 receptions, 41 yards, and a touchdown. The lone 100-yard receiver in the game, A&M wide receiver Moose Muhammad III, 8 receptions, 112 yards, and a touchdown. Defensively, I'm going to go with Texas A&M defensive lineman McKinley Jackson, 12 tackles, 4 solos, 1 sack, 1.5 tackles for loss. Ole Miss -3 pushed and over 55. Baylor crushing Texas Tech 45-17. 4 quarterbacks played in this game. Baylor quarterback Blake Shapen leading the way, 19 of 30, 63.3%, 211 yards, 1 touchdown, 10 carries for 30 yards, and a fumble. Texas Tech quarterback Baron Morton, not a great game, 11 of 34, 32.4% completion, 152 yards, 1 touchdown, but he threw 3 picks and also had a rushing touchdown there. Texas Tech quarterback Tyler Shaw, 1 of 2, 50%, 7 yards. He threw a pick. And then Texas Tech quarterback Donovan Smith also 0 for 2. He also threw an interception there. Told y'all on Friday, Richard Reese was going to have to play a big part for Baylor to win, and he did. 36 carries, 148 yards, 3 touchdowns on the night, and he added 3 receptions for 12 yards as well. Leading receiver on the night, Baylor wide receiver Gavin Holmes, 5 receptions, 77 yards here. And then a whole host of great defensive performances. 2 guys really stand out here. Baylor corner AJ McCarty, 4 tackles, all of them solos, 1 pass deflection, and an 18-yard pick 6. And then Baylor defensive lineman Gabe Hall, 3 tackles, all of them solos, 3 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, and 1 QB hurry. Baylor plus 1.5 over 61 by 1. Number 21, North Carolina, 42-24 rout over Pittsburgh. Drake May was absolutely outstanding. 34 of 44, 77.3% for the Tar Heels quarterback, 388 yards, 5 touchdowns, 14 carries for 61 yards. Keaton Slovis struggled for the Panthers, 14 of 31, 45.2%, 236 yards. Israel Bonaconda had a great game for the Panthers, however, 26 carries, 127 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a fumble. UNC really couldn't run the ball at all outside of May, but they could throw it, and we had 300-yard receivers in this game. UNC wide receiver Antoine Green, 10 receptions, 180 yards, and 2 touchdowns for the James Madison transfer. Great addition for them and Mac Brown in the offseason. And then Pitt wide receiver Jared Wayne, 7 receptions, 151 yards. And finally, of course, the man for UNC, wide receiver Josh Downs, 11 receptions, 102 yards, and 2 touchdowns on the day. Defensively, I'm going to go with Pitt linebacker Servassier Dennis, 8 tackles, 6 solos, 1.5 tackles for loss, and 2 QB hurries. UNC covered -3 easily, over 65.5 by the hook. They're 66 in this game. Number 12, UCLA rolling over Stanford 38-13. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, DTR, had 18 of 29, 62.1% passing, 199 yards, 13 carries, 50 yards, and a touchdown. Stanford played 2 quarterbacks. Tanner McKee, 13 of 29, 44.8%, 115 yards, 1 touchdown, and a pick. Ashton Daniels only threw it once, but he completed it for 4 yards and had 5 carries for 51 yards. Zach Charbonnet went crazy in this one for the Bruins, 21 carries, 198 yards, and 3 touchdowns on the night. Also had 5 catches for 61 yards, so great all-around night for Charbonnet there. Leading receiver in the game, UCLA wide receiver Jake Bobo, 3 receptions for 40 yards. And then defensively, I think I'm going to go with the bottom guy there, UCLA linebacker, Laiatu Latu. One tackle, it was a solo, one sack, one tackle for loss, and 2 QB hurries. UCLA covered a minus 16.5 and the under 64.5 hit. Final FBS game here, San Jose State, close one over Nevada, 35-28. Chevin Cordero returned for the Spartans, 33 of 45, 73.3%, 340 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown, and a fumble as well. Nevada started quarterback Shane Illingworth in this one, 18 of 29, 62.1%, 223 yards, 1 touchdown, and a pick. Great game for Nevada running back Toa Tawa, 23 carries, 75 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 receptions for minus 3 yards. Also scoring at multiple times, San Jose State running back Kyrie Robinson, 11 carries for 40 yards and 2 touchdowns. Also had 3 catches for 19 yards. 100-yard receiver in this one, it was Nevada wide receiver BJ Castile, 7 receptions, 149 yards, and a touchdown. Defensively, there was a million guys that had amazing games. Starting off with defensive lineman for San Jose State, Viliami Fehoko, 12 tackles, 7 solos, 3 sacks, 4.5 tackles for loss, and 1 QB hurry there. And the other guy I'm going to mention, this guy, haven't really heard too much of him from him this year, but he has had a just crazy game in this one. Defensive lineman Cade Hall for the Spartans, 6 tackles, 5 solos, 4 sacks. He had a 4-sacker game and 4 tackles for loss. Just outstanding for Mr. Hall, and a guy I'm looking to see more of coming up in the rest of the season. Nevada covered easily, plus 24 over 44.5. FCS game of the week, number 5, Weber State getting it done, 24-21 over number 11, Montana. Weber State quarterback Bronson Barron, 14 of 23, 60.9%, 153 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Montana quarterback Chris Brown was back for this one after getting injured last week against Sacramento State, but he went 10 of 17, 58.8%, 72 yards, and 1 rushing touchdown. Good day for Wildcat running back Dante McMillan, 23 carries, 100 yards for the purple and gray there. Leading receiver on the day was Weber State wide receiver Ty McPherson, 3 receptions, 84 yards, and a touchdown. Montana corner Justin Ford, he had the lone interception off of Barron. And then there's looking at Montana wide receiver Malik Flowers had a 100-yard kick return touchdown in this one. So with the FBS, we look forward to tomorrow night's first college football playoff rankings of the 22 season. We'll see who the top 25 looks like, and then we'll see what matchups we can get this week. And I'm looking forward to more FCS action this coming weekend. NFL recap here in London. The Broncos getting it done 21-17 over the Jags. The Jags had multiple opportunities to end this game relatively early. Trevor Lawrence throwing 2 pretty bad picks, 1 inside the 5-yard line. But Broncos quarterback Russell Wilson, 18 of 30, 60%, 252 yards, 1 touchdown, and a pick, 4 carries for 17 yards as well. Trevor Lawrence for the Jags, 18 of 31, 58.1%, 133 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks, 3 carries for 15 yards. Travis Etienne had a monster day for the Jags, 24 carries, 156 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 receptions for 6 yards there. Leading receiver in the game, Broncos rookie tight end Greg Dulcich, 4 receptions, 87 yards on 5 targets. And defensively, how can I not go with Jags defensive end Dwayne Smoot, 3 tackles, 1 solo, 1.5 sacks, 1 tackle for loss, and 3 QB hits on Wilson. Broncos +1, under 40.5. Eagles, the only undefeated team left in the league, crushing the Steelers in the Battle of Pennsylvania, 35-13. Jalen Hurts was outstanding, 19 of 28, 67.9%, 285 yards, 4 touchdown passes, 2 carries for 10 yards. Kenny Pickett was decent, 25 of 38, 65.8%, 191 yards and a pick, 7 carries for 37 yards and a fumble. So still got to get the turnovers figured out, Kenny, and I think we'll be okay in Pittsburgh. But Gardner Minshew came in then for Hurts after his day was over, and he went 1 of 2 for 50% completion, 23 yards for Minshew. Miles Sanders, the leading ball carrier on the day, 9 carries, 78 yards, and a touchdown. And of course, the story of the game was A.J. Brown. 6 receptions, 156 yards, 3 touchdowns, the hat trick on the day, and 11 targets for Mr. Brown in this one. Want to highlight also wide receiver Chase Claypool for the Steelers, 4 receptions, 45 yards on 6 targets, and he also threw a 1-yard touchdown pass to fullback Derek Watt, who had 2 receptions for 6 yards and that touchdown on 2 targets. Lot of great performances here on defense. I'm going to go with Eagles safety CJ Gardner-Johnson. However, 8 tackles, 7 solos, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss, 1 pass deflection, 1 QB hit, and a pick. Javon Hargrave also having a great day. Malik Reed for the Steelers, Cam Hayward for Pittsburgh, as well as Milton Williams and Josh Sweat for the Eagles. Eagles covered -11.5 over 43. What a wild game in Atlanta. Falcons getting it done in overtime, 37-34. This is just a crushing blow for the Panthers' confidence. P.J. Walker, 19 of 36, 52.8%, 317 yards, 1 touchdown, a pick, and 1 20-yard run as well. Marcus Mariota for the Falcons, 20 of 28, 71.4%, 253 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks, 6 carries for 43 yards here. Deontay Foreman went crazy in this one for Carolina. 26 carries, 118 yards, and 3 touchdowns there. DJ Moore, also a great game. 6 receptions, 152 yards, 1 touchdown on 11 targets. But he is also the clown in this game. Essentially, they lost because they lost in regulation anyways. DJ Moore catches the de facto Hail Mary from PJ Walker, 62 yards or however long it was. Gets up, takes his helmet off in the end zone. That is a 15-yard unsportsmanlike conduct on the extra point. Moves it back to a 48-yard extra point instead of a 33-yard standard extra point. Eddie Pinheiro misses it. We go to overtime, tied at 34. The Panthers intercept. CJ Henderson intercepts Marcus Mariota, brings it back inside of field goal range. Panthers run it 3 times, and then Eddie Pinheiro comes out again for a relatively not an easy distance, but I think it was 40 something again. Misses it, shanks it left, and Falcons got the ball. Went down. Younghoe Koo was not going to miss his opportunity, and he nailed his field goal to give the Falcons the win. Defensively, I'm going to go with Falcons linebacker Lorenzo Carter, 4 tackles, 1 solo, 1 pass deflection, and a 28-yard pick 6. Panthers did cover, however, +4 over 41.5 easily. Cowboys routing the Bears in Dallas, 49-29. Dak Prescott, his second game back, 21 of 27, 77.8%, 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, a pick, 5 carries for 34 yards, and a touchdown as well. Bears quarterback Justin Fields, 17 of 23, 73.9%, 151 yards, 2 touchdowns, 8 carries for 60 yards, and a touchdown. Tony Pollard getting the bulk of the carries in this one with Ezekiel Elliott out, had a monster day, 14 carries, 131 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a 16-yard reception there. Khalil Herbert just a tick under the century mark here for Chicago, 16 carries, 99 yards, and a touchdown. CD Lamb, your leading receiver in the game for Dallas, 5 receptions, 77 yards, a touchdown on 7 targets. And defensively, a whole host of guys to pick from here, but I got to go with Micah Parsons, 4 tackles, 2 solos, 1 and a 36-yard fumble return for a touchdown on a just bonehead play by Justin Fields, jumping over him instead of touching him down. Cowboys covered -9.5, over 43 by themselves. Dolphins in a comeback effort, 31-27 over the Lions. Tua Tagovailoa, 29 of 36, 80.6%, 382 yards, 3 touchdowns, 5 carries, 19 yards there. Jared Goff for the Lions, 27 of 37, 73%, 321 yards, 1 touchdown. Raheem Mostert, your leading rusher on the day. Dolphins running back had 14 carries, 64 yards, and 1 3-yard reception. Lions running back Jamal Williams, also a good day, 10 carries, 53 yards, 2 touchdowns for him, 3 receptions for 23 yards. 200-yard receivers in this game, both for the Dolphins. Wide receiver Tyreek Hill went crazy, 12 receptions, 188 yards on 14 targets. And then Jalen Waddle for Miami as well, 8 receptions, 106 yards, and 2 touchdowns on 9 targets. Lions wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown, he had 10 targets, caught 7 of those for 69 yards on the day. Defensively, I'm going to go with Dolphins defensive tackle Zach Seiler. 4 tackles, 3 solos, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss, 2 pass deflections, and 1 QB hit. Dolphins covered -3.5 by the hook and over 52. Vikings squeak one out, 34-26 over the Cardinals. Kyler Murray, 31 of 44, 70.5%, 326 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks, 6 carries for 36 yards. Kirk Cousins was great. 24 of 36, 66.7%, 232 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 carries, 22 yards, 1 touchdown, and a fumble. Dalvin Cook, 100-yard game for him. 20 carries, 111 yards, 1 touchdown, 5 receptions for 30 yards on 6 targets for the Vikings running back. Cardinals really couldn't run the ball at all, as you can see by Eno Benjamin's numbers as their leading ball carrier there. And of course, DeAndre Hopkins continues to be a monster in his return from suspension. 2nd game back, another great performance. 12 receptions, 159 yards, 1 touchdown on 13 targets. Defensively, I mean, 2 great performances, 1 on each side of this game. Zadarius Smith, linebacker for the Vikings, just ridiculous. 7 tackles, all of them solos, 3 sacks, hat trick there, 4 tackles for loss, 1 pass deflection, and 3 QB hits on Murray. Just a great day for Smith there. And then, of course, the ageless defensive end, J.J. Watt for the Cardinals, 2 tackles, both of them solos, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, 3 QB hits on Cousins here. Vikings cover -4 over 48.5. Saints shutting out the Raiders 24-0 in Vegas. Or no, this was in New Orleans, I believe. Andy Dalton, good day. 22 of 30, 73.3%, 229 yards, 2 touchdowns, no turnovers. So great performance coming from the Thursday night game against the Cardinals last week. Derek Carr struggled, however, for Las Vegas, 15 of 26, 57.7%, 101 yards and a pick. Jarrett Stidham played a little bit for Vegas as well, 18 of 13, 61.5%, 72 yards for him. Alvin Kamara had a monster day for New Orleans, 18 carries, 62 yards, 1 touchdown, but the receiving numbers were the crazier part. 9 receptions, 96 yards, 2 touchdowns on 10 targets for Kamara. Wide receiver Mac Hollins, the leading receiver in the game for Vegas, 7 receptions, 64 yards on 8 targets there. And defensively, I think I'm going to go with Saints defensive end Peyton Turner. 4 tackles, 2 solos, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, and 2 QB hits. Saints +1, under 48.5 easily. Patriots upsetting the Jets at home, 22-17 at MetLife Stadium. Zach Wilson, 20 of 41, 48.8%, 355 yards, which is great. 2 touchdowns, which is great. But he threw 3 interceptions on the day. Not good for you, and that's not how you're going to win a ball game there. Mac Jones for the Patriots, 24 of 35, 68.86%, 194 yards, 1 touchdown, and a pick, 7 carries for 19 yards. Ramondre Stevenson, your leading rusher in the game, 16 carries, 71 yards for the Patriots running back. Also a crazy good day receiving the ball, 7 receptions, 72 yards on 8 targets. You usually don't see Stevenson catching that many balls, but he did in this one. Leading receiver on the day, Jets wide receiver Garrett Wilson. The rookie had 6 receptions, 115 yards on 7 targets. 2 other guys getting double-digit targets here in this one. Jets tight end Tyler Conklin, 6 receptions, 79 yards, 2 touchdowns on 10 targets. Wish I would have known. Jets, you should have told me he was going to get a lot of targets in this one. I would have started him in fantasy. But alas, he's on my bench with 23.5 points. And then Patriots wide receiver Jacoby Myers, 9 receptions, 60 yards, 1 touchdown on 12 targets here. Defensively in this game, I have to go with Patriots safety Devin McCourty, 6 tackles, 3 solos, 2 pass deflections, and 2 picks off of Wilson. Patriots covered -3, under 40 by 1. Titans getting it done over the Texans, 17-10 in a close one. Davis Mills, 17 of 29, 58.6% for the Texans, 152 yards, 1 touchdown, and a pick. Malik Willis getting his first career start for the Titans, 6 of 10, 60%, 55 yards, 1 pick, 5 carries for 12 yards. Derrick Henry ran all over Houston. He probably ran around the city at least twice in this game. 32 carries, 219 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 reception for 9 yards there. Ties the NFL record with 6 games of 200-plus rushing yards and 2 touchdowns in a career. Wide receiver Brandon Cooks, leading a receiver in the game. Texans, 4 receptions, 73 yards, 6 targets for him. And defensively, a lot of similar stats here. So I'm going to go with Titans corner Christian Fulton, 3 tackles, 2 solos, 1 tackle for loss, 2 pass deflections, and a pick. Titans cover -1, under 39.5. Commanders getting it done at the buzzer, 17-16 over the Colts in Indy. Taylor Heineke was pretty good, 23 of 31, 74.2%, 279 yards, 1 touchdown, a pick, 6 carries for 29 yards, and another touchdown there. Quarterback Sam Ehlinger, by the way, that rushing touchdown for Heineke, the game winner. 1 yard QB sneak there. Quarterback Sam Ehlinger getting his first career start, the 2021 6th-round selection. He went 17 of 23, 73.9%, 201 yards, 6 carries, 15 yards, and a fumble. Colts running back Jonathan Taylor, the leading rusher on the day, 16 carries, 76 yards, and a fumble. Washington really couldn't run the ball at all. Robinson there, 8 carries for 20 yards, their leading rusher on the day. Receiving wise, 100-yard receiver in this one. Commanders wide receiver Terry McLaurin, 6 receptions, 113 yards on 8 targets. And defensively, I am going to go with Colts defensive tackle DeForest Buckner, 3 tackles, 2 solos, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss, and 2 QB hits. Commanders +3, under 40. Niners beating up on the Rams, make it 8 straight over LA in the regular season. Obviously, the Rams got them in the NFC Championship game last year. But Jimmy Garoppolo, great day for him. 21 of 25, 84% completion, 235 yards, 2 touchdowns. Matthew Stafford for LA, 22 of 33, 66.7%, 187 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 rushing touchdown. But the story of the game was Christian McCaffrey, newly acquired running back for the 49ers, had a whole week to get ready and get the playbook down from last week's limited performance there. And he showed it. 18 carries, 94 yards, and a touchdown on the ground. But he wasn't done. 8 receptions for 55 yards and a touchdown on 9 targets. But he still wasn't done. He also threw a 34-yard touchdown pass to Brandon Ayuk. Just a phenomenal coming out party for Christian McCaffrey in his second game with San Fran, and also first player to have a touchdown all 3 ways since LaDainian Tomlinson in 2005. Rams once again could not run the ball very well at all. Leading receiver in the game, wide receiver Brandon Ayuk for San Fran, 6 receptions, 81 yards, a touchdown on 6 targets. Of course, Rams wide receiver Cooper Kupp had double-digit targets here, 12 of them. He caught 8 for 79 yards and a touchdown. Defensively, I'm going to go with Rams linebacker Leonard Floyd, 9 tackles, 4 solos, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, and 3 QB hits. Seahawks getting it done, 27-13 over the Giants, dropping them to 6-2. Geno Smith, good day, 23 of 34, 67.6%, 212 yards, 2 touchdowns, 5 carries for 26 yards. Daniel Jones for the G-Men, 17 of 31, 54.8%, 176 yards, 6 carries for 20 yards. Giants running back Saquon Barkley led the game in rushing, 20 carries, 53 yards, and a touchdown, 3 catches for 9 yards on 5 targets. Giants wide receiver Darius Slayton, your leading receiver in the game, 5 receptions, 66 yards on 6 targets. And surprisingly, DK Metcalf did play in this game after a patellar tendon injury last week, but double-digit targets here, 10 of them. He caught 6 for 55 and a touchdown. Defensively, I'm going to go with Giants defensive end Leonard Williams, 8 tackles, 5 solos, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss, and 5 hits on Geno Smith. Forgot to mention in the last game, 49ers covered in a pick'em and the over 42 hit in that one. And in this game, Seahawks covered -3, under 44. Sunday Night Football, Bills actually winning a closer one than people thought, or that it was looking like it was going to be. 27-17 over the Packers. Josh Allen, 13 of 25, 52%, 218 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, 6 carries for 49 yards. Aaron Rodgers for the Packers, 19 of 30, 63.3%, 203 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick, 1 carry for 11 yards. Aaron Jones was having a great night in a loss. Packers running back, 20 carries, 143 yards, 4 receptions for 14 yards on 5 targets. Stephon Diggs, the lone 100-yard receiver in this one, 6 receptions, 108 yards, 1 touchdown on 8 targets for the Buffalo wide receiver there. And then defensively, gotta go with I think I'm going to go with Packers, actually. Corner Jair Alexander, 1 tackle, 4 pass deflections, and a pick. Great night for him in a loss. Packers did cover plus 10.5 by the hook and the under 47 hit. We have some XFL news. Great day in the return process for the league. They revealed their team names and logos for their relaunch on February 18th, 2023. Here are the team names and logos. We have the Arlington Renegades, the DC Defenders, Houston Roughnecks, Orlando Guardians, San Antonio Brahmas, Seattle Sea Dragons, the St. Louis Battlehawks, and the Vegas Vipers. Many of those names returning. The Renegades were originally the Dallas Renegades, but moving to Arlington, keeping their same name. DC Defenders, same name there. So is the Houston Roughnecks and the St. Louis Battlehawks. The Guardians were the original team from New York, now Orlando. San Antonio, the only new team name, Brahmas, bringing in their history and tradition there in San Antonio. And then Seattle, they just tweaked their name, was the Seattle Dragons, now the Seattle Sea Dragons. And then, of course, the Vipers in Vegas. The original team there was Tampa Bay Vipers, moving to Vegas, keeping the same team name. So really excited. They're hosting their draft next month. So interested to see what who they get on their teams and what the teams look like. We'll be looking out for those rosters and making our sort of preseason predictions for the XFL 2023 season. Go DC Defenders. Still my home team. Okay, college football news. Michigan State, they have suspended 4 players: linebacker Tank Brown, corner Kari Crump, safety Angelo Gross, and defensive end Zion Young for their involvement in an assault on Michigan player or players, as Jim Harbaugh mentioned, that occurred in the tunnel after their game on a Saturday night. Just very stupid thing to have occurred, and it's sort of Michigan's own fault. Michigan's own fault. I believe it was in Ann Arbor that they have both teams, going into the same tunnel. That's their fault. You build a different locker room, or a different way for both teams to get there, or, make one team go first and the other team go second. You just cannot have this type of stuff. We saw the same kind of thing happening in Buffalo last night on Sunday Night Football. Stephon Diggs jawing with Jair Alexander while coming out for pregame warmups. They mentioned it. The new stadium Buffalo is getting probably going to have separate tunnels for the teams. These players are going to be suspended until the Michigan State Police finish their investigation into the matter. Michigan head coach Jim Harbaugh is asking for serious consequences being taken. The Big 12, they are renewing their media rights deal with ESPN and Fox through the 2030-2031 seasons. This increases the annual payout from $220 million to $380 million. I believe that is per school. So great deal for the Big 12, adding in new conference members next year, probably, and losing a couple there as well. So good deal for them to renew that. Florida, interesting notes today. They have dismissed linebacker Brenton Cox Jr. from the program. 3-year starter after transferring from Georgia in 2020. Crazy that he is being dismissed, because I thought he was a pretty good player and a pretty important player on their defense. Tough look at 4-4. Billy Napier trying to make some changes, I guess, in terms of culture there at Florida. So we'll see what happens to Cox there. And finally, college news here. Auburn is looking for a new head coach this offseason now. They have fired head coach Brian Harsin, the former Boise State head coach, coming over to Auburn. 9-12 in 1+ seasons, including 4-9 in SEC play. So it's kind of like it's very I don't know how to describe it. It's not enough time. At 21 games, how can you really adequately evaluate someone? I feel like you need to have at least 3 complete seasons to evaluate how a coach is doing, getting their recruits in that they actually recruited and kind of filtering out the guys that the previous coach had recruited if they don't fit your system. So probably not enough time there. I know a lot of Auburn people were getting just antsy and that they're not winning and such. So it's kind of a tough look there, but Auburn going to be in the head coach business, coaching carousel coming up this offseason. NFL news, though, one general thing here. Congrats to Patriots head coach Bill Belichick. He passed legendary Bears head coach George Halas for second most wins all time with his 325th career win over the New York Jets yesterday. So congrats to Coach Belichick. Second most wins all time there. Trade deadline. We had a deal go down today just before the show, probably about 30 minutes before the show here. It is Roquan Smith getting hit what he wanted earlier in the preseason training camp there. He is now a Baltimore Raven. No, that is Robert Quinn. My bad. I forgot to get the picture of Roquan there. But Roquan going to Baltimore in exchange for 2023 second and fifth round picks and linebacker A.J. Klein heading over to Chicago. Really good deal for Chicago. They are also paying $4.833 million of his $5.48 million that Roquan is due the rest of the season. So Baltimore getting him for just under $600,000 the rest of the year. Great deal for both sides. I think now the Bears loading up. They have gotten 3 picks and a player for two players the last week or so. So Chicago loading up with a lot of expected money next year too, $100+ million I'm hearing in projected cap space for the Bears. So we'll have to see what they can do with head coach Matt Eberflus and GM Ryan Poles there in Chicago. Other trade deadline news, the Rams, we know they are interested in shipping running back Cam Akers off somewhere. If they cannot get a trade done, though, he is expected to return to LA and play for them again. Would be an awkward situation, I think, anyways, knowing that they were looking at trying to get rid of you. But you got to do what you got to do, put business first, and try to get the best situation that you can if you're Cam Akers. The Texans, they have announced they are open to dealing wide receiver Brandon Cooks, big player. I know a lot of Packers fans here in Wisconsin are clamoring for Cooks to come to Green Bay. We'll see if GM Brian Gutekunst takes that option or not. Is relatively expensive in terms of salary, so I think Texans would have to help on most of the teams interested there for Cooks' services. And finally, the Browns. They have announced they are willing to grant running back Kareem Hunt's trade request. So look forward to seeing if Kareem gets dealt there or not. We had one IR activation today. It was Bills cornerback Tre'Davious White. Head coach Sean McDermott say he is still going to remain day-to-day, however, not necessarily meaning he is going to play this week. And or they have a bye, I believe. I can't remember if they have a bye this week or not. But no, they do not. So yeah, not necessarily going to play this weekend against the Jets, but we'll have to wait and see what the injury practice reports look like this week. IR, just one guy getting placed on IR. It was the inevitable Bucks pass rusher Shaq Barrett's torn Achilles, done for the season. So just a formality there with the IR designation. Injury updates here. Bengals wide receiver Jamar Chase, he will not be placed on IR with his hip injury. Head coach Zach Taylor announced he is going to be week to week. So we'll see if Jamar can come back within that 4 weeks or not. Ravens running back Gus Edwards, he has a hamstring injury. It is minor, though, so likely only going to miss about 1 week or so. Eagles defensive tackle Jordan Davis, the rookie first-round pick, he has a high ankle sprain, likely out 4 to 6 weeks. So blow to the run defense against for Philly, but they have a lot of guys that great front seven there that can play. Packers wide receiver Christian Watson went out last night with a concussion, so he is in the concussion protocol there. Patriots wide receiver Devontae Parker is a knee sprain, likely out just 1 game if he is out at all this weekend against Indianapolis. Saints running back Mark Ingram, he's a grade 2 MCL sprain. He is out 3 to 4 weeks. Vikings tight end Irv Smith, he also has a high ankle sprain. He is going to miss some time there for Minnesota. Maybe they get a tight end at the deadline. Rams wide receiver Cooper Kupp avoided major injury there, no structural damage. There is some head coach Sean McVay mentioning there's some soft tissue swelling, but no structural damage for him. So he is day-to-day with an ankle sprain is Cooper Kupp. So rejoice, fantasy people out there. Your high pick is not out for the year. And finally, Ravens wide receiver Rashad Bateman. He is going to be out a few weeks with a foot injury for Baltimore. Pick standings, we were all in sync last week. We all got Arizona right on Thursday night football, but unfortunately, or Baltimore right on Thursday night, but unfortunately the Bears screwed our Patriots pick up on Monday night. So we all went 1-1. I am still 1 game up on Mark. Mark is 1 game up on Logan, who I am 2 up on, and then I am 4 up on Peter. He is 3 back of Mark and 2 of Logan. This looks like a great division if we were under the old 16 games season there, winning the division at 11-5. I can take that. That's fine with me. Mark gets a wild card. Logan probably gets a wild card too at 9-7 there. But tonight, the Bengals AFC North matchup to end week 8. Bengals 4-3 at the 2-5 Browns. The Cincinnati boys, they are getting 3 points on the road in Cleveland. No Jamar Chase, obviously, but I think they still have enough firepower that they can get it done. Cover that spread. Jacoby Brissett has not looked great in the last couple of weeks, but we'll have to see how this one goes down. Over under here is 45. I'm going to go under that. That's pretty high for the NFL. And 8:15 p.m. ESPN tonight. Thursday night, my birds in Houston. Houston debuting their new red battle helmets there. The Eagles 7-0, Texans 1-5-1. The Eagles 13-point favorites. I don't know if they cover that or not. We'll have to see. But everyone is also, just like we were tonight on the Bengals, we are all on the Eagles to go 8-0 on Thursday. Let's hope they can do that. No trap game. We just need to keep our stuff together, do what we do, and go out there, execute, and win that game there. That one, over-under is 43. I'm going to go over on that one, I think, and 8:15 p.m. on Prime Video. Next week, we'll be back talking NFL, the close to week 9, the Monday Nighter, Ravens at the Saints. Roquan Smith will be his first game there in Baltimore. And then the Thursday night rematch, Falcons at the Panthers. They both have a bye week. Or no, they do not have a bye week, but they both have a game in between their matchup from this past Sunday. So that'll be the kickoff game to week 10. We will also have all the NFL and college football news, as well as college football game recaps and NFL game recaps from the weekend there. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media at FAA Podcast on Instagram and Twitter, at FAA_bets, also on Twitter, and FAApodcast.com is our website. You can check us out here on YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio. Once again, thank you, everyone. Have a happy Halloween, and we will see you back for Football Friday.